Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg. Why hasn't anyone thought of this before? You're watching Beyond the Trailers review of Two Guns.
I'm home! Let's go, come on! How much you figure?
40 million.
$40 million?
But I got bad news for you.
Ah, the team-up, a classic Hollywood staple. Sometimes it works wonders, like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, or Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, or even more recently, the Expendables franchise. But then sometimes it doesn't work, like Michael Mann's Heat. Although it is worth noting that last one did inspire arguably the greatest comic book movie of all time, The Dark Knight. And so now, 2 years before Batman and Superman are set to team up on the silver screen for the first time, we've got Washington and Wahlberg. Pretty brilliant considering that the two stars have been consistently making the same movie for decades. Both are Hollywood workhorses, churning out mid-sized action thrillers in between blockbuster fare. For Washington, it was a long-time collaboration with the late Tony Scott, with films like Man on Fire, Deja Vu, The Taking of Pelham 123, and Unstoppable. For Wahlberg, it was films that played up his blue-collar roots, like Four Brothers, Shooter, We Own the Night, and Contraband. In fact, for Two Guns, Wahlberg is re-teaming with his Contraband director, Iceland's Baltasar Kormákur. And Wahlberg, ever the businessman who produced The Fighter as well as several shows for HBO, is the one who first expressed interest in Two Guns, pulling it out of development and into pre-production. The source material? A comic book. Comic book movies are getting harder and harder to spot these days as graphic novels compete with novels for attention in Hollywood. And while Marvel, DC, and even Oni Press have gotten their comics on the screen, this is the first foray for Boom Studios, which, in full disclosure, publishes my comic book Superbia. So, do Washington and Wahlberg make for a supersized action thriller with a surprisingly refreshing comedic twist? Let's go find out.
I was really pleasantly surprised by Two Guns. I didn't expect to like it. I usually don't like Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg's smaller films. In fact, I rented Contraband, and I disliked it so much that towards the end of the movie I was going in and out of the room doing other stuff because I just thought it was so uninspired. And so I was nervous that it was the same director teaming up with Mark Wahlberg again. But apparently what Contraband was missing was comedy. Because this is a comedy, first and foremost, which was really a pleasant surprise, as I said. But it has the benefit of being grafted onto a solid, engaging mystery. I mean, there were twists here that, some I saw, but some I didn't see coming, which was nice. And also, I thought that there were some good set pieces, like some good action set pieces in the film. In particular, one of my favorites was how Denzel Washington escapes from a naval base. I don't want to ruin it for you. But that was an excellent example, by the way, of good writing. And, I've been talking all summer about the problems of writing in movies, and I feel screenplays are subpar and they're not getting enough attention. But this was a case where I think it was a very solid but yet simple screenplay. And I think that's when screenplays are their best, when things just flow so beautifully throughout the film. And that's how this worked. It was very nicely done. Things were very well thought out. Clearly a writer had taken the time to craft a good, compelling, believable story that was clever as well, and I really like that. A lot of great lines. I would be interested to know how much was improvised on set, but some really funny, clever lines from Mark Wahlberg, who, interestingly, I feel like Brad Pitt is a comedian first. I think Hollywood miscategorized both of them initially. Denzel Washington has some fantastic lines, and also Bill Paxton has some really good lines as well. And Edward James Olmos is also very good. There's a funny thing that Mark Wahlberg says to Edward James Olmos that's it was just hilarious. So I really liked that part of it. But I will tell you, though, by the way, this is based on a comic book, but from what I've heard, it's not very similar to the comic. So by all means, go and check out Two Guns. Boom Studios just released a sequel, Three Guns, but you're not going to find this movie in the comic. But would I like to see a Three Guns movie, a sequel to this? Yeah, I would definitely be on board for that. The only writing that I didn't like in the film, I have to say, was I really didn't like the female character. I thought she was very cliche, and she has kind of a character arc. Her character makes some moves that I feel that only a male writer could justify to himself. I hope that more women are becoming writers in Hollywood, but until they really come on board, I feel you're going to continue to have female characters not act like people. This one kind of acts, in the romantic female version that I think a lot of guys assume will happen. So that was kind of frustrating. But otherwise, great movie, really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it. It's a really fun summer movie. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And I have to say, I liked it despite the fact that when I was there, this woman had taken her two children to a 7:30 show at night. She'd taken her 2 small boys to come and see the film, and at first I was like, oh, awesome, family night at the movies, how great. But then it became clear that she kind of just took them there to babysit them and spend time with them. So she like left for a large period of time in the middle of the movie. Who knows where she went? And these kids were talking a whole lot. But then, I tried to shush them, and they thought that was just amusing. And then they started throwing popcorn in the air in the middle of the movie in front of the screen. So I had to finally just be like, could you stop doing that, please? And they kind of stopped. But Two Guns was so good that it survived that kind of annoyance throughout the movie. I probably would have enjoyed it even more if I hadn't had to deal with that. So movie theaters continue to be a giant problem for movies and movie going. I can't wait for Alamo Drafthouse to open here in New York City. There one just opened in Yonkers, but I'm talking, closer to me. But so Two Guns, highly recommend it. I think you'll have a really good time, and I think it's a great thing for aspiring screenwriters to go and see. That A, you see what a good script is like, and that B, they're still getting made. So those are my thoughts on Two Guns. If you've seen the film, share your thoughts down below. I can't believe it's taking me so long to kick this cold, but I'm trying very hard. I'm drinking my liquids and getting lots of rest. Okay, check these other videos. I hope you enjoy them.